Hello and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're drinking Mr. Teatime's Finest Royal Biscuit Ale. That's a weird name for a beer.
Yeah, I don't know why you came up with that. So this is a beer that we brewed with our friends Carwyn Cellars over in Australia. And it was part of the Trans Tasman Collaborational. Now you've probably heard us talk a bunch about the Trans Tasman Collaborational in past weeks as we sold all those beers, and it's all gone now, so you can't buy any more. But it was a project that we did where we teamed up with Carwyn Cellars in Australia, who we think are basically the closest Australian equivalent we could find to ourselves as a retailer, subscription service.
They've got a bar in Melbourne.
They've got a bar and a little bit of a brewing arm, and we teamed up with them to partner up 12 Aussie breweries and 12 Kiwi breweries, and one of those breweries was us, and one of those breweries was them. So Small Gods is the brewing arm of Beer Jerk, as I'm sure you all know, and Last Word is the brewing arm of Carwyn Cellars. So they haven't done anything for a little while, but we got them out of retirement to brew this.
Well, cheers. Yes, it was really fun working with the guys from Carwyn. So it was Ben Carwyn and Ben Deval, and they love all kinds of beers. Basically, they are like the Australian us, only much bigger, enviously. They're pretty huge, which means they can do way more geeky events than we're able to do.
Some of the tap takeovers and stuff they do at the bar are insane. Just like, I can't remember what beer it was. Deschutes the Abyss, where they had 12 different vintages on cake on tap at the same time.
So the same beer 12 times, but like aged in different barrels and different years, and stuff we could never get away with.
Even though we try.
Yeah, and you might be into it because you're one of our 85 YouTube followers. But unfortunately, that doesn't that doesn't sell hundreds and hundreds of litres of weird barrel-aged beers.
It doesn't. But
so we had a great time collaborating with them and talking about what sort of beers we were going to brew. So it was fun with the Trans Tasman Collaborational, because of course we were the puppet masters that were in charge of it, and we introduced all the breweries to one another. So we knew what everyone was going to be brewing. So we decided to make a beer that wasn't like any of the other beers. Of course, there was no way we were going to make an IPA. And we sort of went for a few different pathways, thinking about botanical ingredients and native ingredients to both countries. And almost for a joke, we came up with doing a really biscuity English. I think we just thought it would be fun to do a beer that's kind of really unsexy.
Yeah, it's kind of that kind of traditional ale. I think all of us agreed that we wanted something that was kind of super drinkable and easygoing, but not your XPA, Pacific Ale, your Pilsner, your standard kind of sessionable beers. And we went back to both of our home countries, England, where this is really based at heart on a traditional English bitter. So the original pale ale in a way, I guess, but we kind of really wanted to dial in on those malt flavours. So we used a bunch of fantastic malts from our friends at Gladfield. We used their ale malt as the base of this, some Vienna, some of their Aurora malt and biscuit malt, and then on top of that we decided to put biscuits in it because you're making a biscuit beer, what else are you going to do? So we used a bunch of Griffin's malt biscuits in here, kilos and kilos of those, and then single hopped with East Kent Goldings, which is a classic British hop, iconically associated with British bitters and all those kind of styles. So it's pretty much bang on style for a British bitter. It's got a little more sweetness, and those kind of malt characters are really amped up. But yeah, it's the kind of beer that we would have loved to have put some on a handful if the brewery brewed out had the facility. But it's that kind of beer. It's best drunk a little bit warm, so leave it out of the fridge for half an hour before you crack into it. And yeah, those malt characters really open up to kind of just that soft, warming, biscuity, toffee, caramel, bread crust kind of malt notes.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of categories with these modern beers like these that are influenced by culinary flavours. So some beers just simply taste like what it is. So like recently Well, a little while ago in the box we had a beer from Deeds, which was the vanilla custard pancake beer that was...
One drop.
One drop, I meant to say. Sorry, I was thinking Deeds because we're in front of this stack that just arrived. Yeah, that one drop beer, which is just so over the top dessert. So this beer does not taste exactly like eating some biscuits. It tastes like a bitter, but it's pretty bloody biscuity.
Tastes like how eating biscuits feels. I don't know. Does it?
Like a lovely biscuity
I just made
burger.
that up. But yeah, so yeah, we really enjoy it as just something different but sessionable, a little bit warming, a little bit comforting, and yeah, full of flavour, but not necessarily the kind of hoppy flavours that predominate. So yeah, we're really happy with how it came out.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of the beers that we brew at Small Gods in our collaborations that are, you know, the kind of overwhelming beers that you will drink one of and it's a really fun time, but you're not going to keep going back to it. But this beer, if we had this on tap at the Fridge and Flagon, I would just drink this day in, day out.
Well, we did, and you did, and now the cake's run out.
The cake has kicked out. I've been drinking loads.
That's right, I think we might have another one we can put on.
And just a quick note on East Kent Goldings, really interesting hop variety that you should do a little Google on and check it out on Wikipedia. And it's a really great example of terroir. And East Kent there's various kinds of Goldings hops, but East Kent Goldings are only grown in East Kent, and it's just the completely unique land and the kind of soil there, and the wind that they have, and the proximity to the ocean. And it's a hop that many people have tried to replicate that hop by simply taking the plant and putting it in a similar place in another part of Kent, let alone another country or another part of the world, and it tastes very different.
Well, East Kent Goldings, interestingly, is one of kind of, or Goldies is kind of one of those parent hops that you actually see a whole bunch of varietals of under different names. I can't tell you off the top of my head what the New Zealand varietals are, but I know that some of the New Zealand varieties that you see popping up started life as East Kent Goldings. Fuggles is another one, Sarts and Hallertau, these kind of old school European hops that have evolved into something else, as Luke says, as a result of their terroir, as a result of the climate that they're brewed in, the amount of water, the soil, the hours of sunlight, and all those things that have a huge effect on those hops. And yeah, it's really cool to see, as Luke says, if you do a bit of a Google, checking out the lineage and parentage of various hops and seeing how many of them actually come back to Fuggles, Goldings, Sarts and Hallertau, and those traditional British and German varieties.
Yeah, and hops are a pretty delicate kind of plant, really. A lot of that has influence on them. You can't just transplant it to a different place, and that's why it's so great working with different growers and different farms, as we did with our pair of beers, What Can the Harvest Hope For, and Care of the Reaper Man that we chatted about recently.
Brewed with Motueka, which was originally a Sarts variant.
Yeah.
And I might be doing some updating for you guys if you keep watching these videos. I've just planted some hops at home. I've planted 2 Motueka plants and 2 Raquel plants. So I'll be hoping to brew some fresh hop beers with those come February, March. So watch this space for more adventures on my hop growing journey.
Maybe you can start a live webcam.
Maybe I could. Apparently they grow, during peak growing season, they grow up to 30 centimetres a day. It's nuts.
Madness. Well, if you're not a member of the NZ Beer Jerks group on Facebook, you should join that, where you can keep up to date with Matt's hop growth and other interesting things. I'll chuck an article in there about East Kent Goldings as well, that you can have a bit more of a read on. And pretty happy with this beer. I think it's fantastic, even if I say so myself.
Yeah, I think it's really good. So, really happy with that.
Good work, Matt.
Cheers, mate. And on to other things that we're really happy with.
Oh yeah.
Deeds. So as Luke fumbled over a little bit earlier, we have just landed our latest shipment from Deeds. Now, Deeds are one of the breweries that we have imported the most into New Zealand. We're huge fans of theirs, and they've just hooked us up with our biggest ever import from them. It's got a huge variety of beers on it, and we're thrilled. I've had a chance to try a couple so far, but I'm working my way through. But we've done 3 exclusive mix cases, and these are really limited. We've only got 1 or 2 left of a couple of them, so if you're watching this, snap it up while you can. We have a selection of their hoppy beers, so that's a 12-pack for $130, which contains a range of pale ales, hazy pale ales, red IPA, double IPA, I think there's even a triple IPA in there, so it's a really good example of the kind of top-tier hoppy stuff that they're doing. There is a dark beer mix case where we've released a 6-pack, which is $89. It includes some truly incredible beers. They're Infernal Agreement, which is a 15% bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout, a 12% straight-up imperial stout. There's a tropical stout in there, a smoked Baltic porter, a Czech dark lager. That's the one that I jumped on as soon as it came in. And
that's a major box of beers.
It's incredible, and
but it seems like $89 for a 6-pack is expensive, but it's actually a ridiculous price.
Yeah, that
compared to what it costs in Australia, even.
Yeah, well, that Infernal Agreement costs, I think, like $35 a can in Australia by itself. So if you want something really special, check that out.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we have a 6-pack of their 750ml sours. So we've got a range of wild and spontaneous blended fermentations. There's a Morello cherry sour, a boysenberry farmhouse ale, a beer wine co-ferment. So those are really cool as well if you like your proper interesting sours. All of those are super limited, so keep an eye out. Jump on the website and get them while you can, because they'll be gone. At least a couple of them will be gone by the end of the week. So yeah, they're fantastic. Dudes are great.
And the Fridge and Flagon, our warehouse bar home in Eden Terrace in central Auckland, is now open every single Saturday. So we're open on Saturdays from noon until 8 p.m. We've always got interesting stuff going on. We've got loads of stuff lined up. We had a DJ last weekend. We're going to have regular music, interesting beer events, tap takeovers. We've got different food trucks that we're lining up. So every week you'll find something interesting. This Saturday, there's a big sports event just down the road at Eden Park. So if you're planning to go and watch people run around after a rugby ball, come drink here first. You don't need to drink shit beer just because you're a sports fan. You can drink good stuff here and then stroll down the Auckland Beer Mile. And we're going to be tapping a few very special kegs that we imported for Beervana. So some stuff from our mates at Mountain Culture, kind of hype, big New England IPA we're going to be putting on tap. Some American kegs. So a few good secrets we're going to be...
we might pull something out of the cellar from previous years as well. Got some exciting stuff tucked away in the chiller that we're going to bust out as well. So
yep.
Yeah.
Definitely coming out for that.
It's definitely going to be a killer lineup that will get you nice and all glowy for the rugby. Get your beer jacket on.
yeah. Keep you warm to watch the night game. All right, that is it for me. And
that's it from me.
So it's back another roll of talk.
Good timing. All right.
See you next time.
Cheers,
Enjoy.